Dr. Kate Warner watched the woman convulse and strain against the straps of the makeshift operating table. The seizures grew more violent, and blood flowed from her mouth and ears. There was nothing Kate could do for the woman, and that bothered her more than anything. Even during medical school and her residency, Kate had never gotten used to seeing a patient die. She hoped she never would. She stepped forward, gripped the woman's left hand, and stood there until the shaking stopped. The woman blew out her last breath as her head rolled to the side. The room fell silent except for the pitter-patter of blood falling from the table, splattering on the plastic below. The entire room was wrapped in heavy sheet plastic. The walls, the door, every inch of the floor. The room wasn't an operating room, but it was the closest thing the resort had, a massage room in the spa building. Kate used the table where wealthy tourists had been pampered 3 months before to conduct experiments she still didn't understand. Above her, the low whine of an electric motor broke the silence as the tiny video camera panned away from the woman to face Kate, prompting her, saying, "File your report." Kate jerked her mask down and gently placed the woman's hand on her abdomen. Atlantis Plague Trial Alpha 493. Result negative. Subject Marbella 2918. Kate eyed the woman, trying to think of a name. They refused to name the subjects, but Kate made up a name for every one of them. It wasn't like they could punish her for it. Maybe they thought withholding the names would make her job easier. It didn't. No one deserved to be a number or to die without a name. Kate cleared her throat. Subject's name is Marie Romero. Time of death, approximately 15:14 local time. Suspected cause of death. Cause of death is the same as the last 30 people on this table. Kate pulled her rubber gloves off with a loud crack and tossed them on the plastic-covered floor next to the growing pool of blood. She turned and reached for the door. The speakers in the ceiling crackled to life. "You need to do an autopsy." Kate glared at the camera. "Do it yourself." "Please, Kate." They had kept Kate almost completely in the dark, but she knew one thing. They needed her. She was immune to the Atlantis Plague, the perfect person to carry out their trials. She had gone along for weeks now, since Martin Gray, her adoptive father, had brought her here. Gradually she had begun demanding answers. There were always promises, but the revelations never came. She cleared her throat and spoke with more force. "I'm done for the day." She pulled the door open. "Stop. I know you want answers. Just take the sample and we'll talk." Kate inspected the metal cart that waited outside the room, just as it had 30 times before. A single thought ran through her mind. Leverage. She took the blood draw kit, returned to Marie, and inserted the needle into the crook of her arm. It always took longer after the heart had stopped. When the tube was full, she withdrew the needle, walked back to the cart, and placed the tube in the centrifuge. A few minutes passed while the tube spun. Behind her, the speakers called out an order. She knew what it was. She eyed the centrifuge as it came to a stop. She grabbed the tube, tucked it in her pocket, and walked down the hall. She usually looked in on the boys after she finished work, but today she needed to do something else first. She entered her tiny room and plopped down on the bed. The room was almost like a jail cell. No windows, nothing on the walls, and a steel frame cot with a mattress from the Middle Ages. She assumed it had previously housed a member of the cleaning staff. Kate considered it to be barely humane. She bent over and began feeling around in the darkness under the cot. Finally, she grasped the bottle of vodka and brought it out. She grabbed a paper cup from the bedside table, blew out the dust, poured a sailor-sized gulp, and turned the bottom up.